Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a truly fascinating ancient Buddhist text, the Atthakanagara Sutta. Now, if you've ever been interested in the actual mechanics of the mind, deep meditation, or, the pursuit of total psychological freedom, this text is essentially a highly structured, step-by-step manual. We're going to take some incredibly profound concepts and break them down into clear takeaways that you can easily grab onto.
So our source material kicks off with this deeply profound, almost mystery-like philosophical inquiry posed by a man named Dasama. He asks, is there a single quality to release the unreleased mind? I mean, really think about the weight of that question for a second. Amidst all the complexities of human psychology, suffering, and spiritual practice, is there just one core mechanism, literally one single key, that guarantees absolute liberation and the end of all mental fermentations? It's the ultimate quest for spiritual efficiency, right? And the answer we get is just brilliant.
To really grasp that answer, here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the householder's quest, then distill the formula for release. After that, we'll look at the specific doorways this formula applies to, the 4 jhanas, the 4 awareness releases, and the formless dimensions. And then we'll wrap the whole thing up with the 11 doors to treasure. Okay, part 1, the householder's quest. Let's look at Dasama's journey. The text introduces us to Dasama, and what's so compelling here is that he isn't actually a monk. He's a householder from Atthakanagara, a very busy man of commerce. On day 1, he arrives in the city of Pataliputra on business. But, his mind is clearly on higher things, so on day 2, he takes time out to visit a monk at Kukata Monastery, specifically trying to track down Venerable Ananda, one of the Buddhist most prominent disciples. Finding out Ananda is somewhere else, Dasama wraps up his commercial stuff and, on day 3, travels all the way to Vassali just to ask this one burning question. It really highlights his unwavering dedication to seeking out spiritual knowledge, even right in the middle of his everyday busy life.
Which brings us to part 2. The formula for release. That single quality.
So Dasama finally gets to ask his question, and Venerable Ananda essentially says, yes, there is. But instead of a simple yes, he outlines this incredibly dense psychological algorithm. So the crucial point is this specific 4-step mechanism. Step 1, you enter a deep meditative state. Step 2, and honestly, this is where the magic happens. You have to actively reflect on and discern that this profound state is actually fabricated. It's intended. Your mind constructed it. Step 3, because it's fabricated, you recognize that it's inconstant. It is subject to cessation. It just won't last forever. By actively observing your mind's own constructions like this, you hit step 4, the absolute ending of mental fermentations, achieving total release. So it's not just about chilling out in a peaceful state, it's about deeply, critically understanding the very nature of that state.
But Ananda also provides this really fascinating safety net. Like, what if you apply this formula but don't quite reach the total ending of all fermentations right then and there? Well, the text explains that by doing this exact practice, you'll still completely waste away what are known as the first 5 fetters. These are deep psychological binds, self-identity views, grasping at precepts and practices, uncertainty, sensual passion, and irritation. And by breaking these 5 fetters, the text promises you are guaranteed to be reborn in the pure abodes, meaning you're destined to be totally unbound and never return from that world. It's a pretty amazing fallback mechanism, if you ask me.
Moving on to part 3, the 4 jhanas, inward withdrawal. Let's move to and see how this builds our framework. Where exactly do we apply this incredible release formula? Well, the first category is the 4 jhanas. These are progressive meditative states defined by deep inward withdrawal from sensuality and unskillful qualities. For instance, the first jhana involves this intense rapture and pleasure born specifically from that withdrawal, accompanied by directed thought and evaluation. And as you move through the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th jhanas, things become progressively more subtle and still. But here's the kicker. Remember our formula. Even when you are floating in the intense rapture of that first jhana, you have to step back and realize, hey, this state is fabricated, it's intended, and it's subject to cessation. That active observation is absolutely crucial for release.
Now for part 4, the 4 awareness releases, outward radiation. If the intense inward focus of the jhanas isn't quite your path, Ananda offers a dramatically different alternative. Instead of withdrawing inward, a practitioner can pervade the entire cosmos with specific qualities of awareness. These 4 directions of awareness are goodwill, compassion, appreciation, and equanimity. The text describes this as an abundant, expansive, immeasurable awareness that you literally project outwards. First in one direction, then the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and eventually above, below, and all around. You're filling the entire cosmos without a shred of hostility or ill will.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer versatility of the psychological framework we're looking at here. On one side, you've got the four jhanas, this intense, inward withdrawal from the sensory world. On the other side, or rather, flowing the complete opposite way, you've got the four awareness releases, a vast, outward, all-encompassing radiation of positive mental states. They represent completely opposite directional flows of attention. Yet Ananda declares both are equally valid paths to liberation. Why? Because the exact same formula applies. Whether you are deeply withdrawn or universally expansive, you absolutely must still recognize that the state you are currently in is fabricated, intended, and subject to cessation.
Next up, Part 5, the Formless Dimensions, Abstract Meditation.
This brings us to the final, and definitely most abstract category of meditative doorways. For those who push beyond even the basic physical perceptions of form and resistance, we hit the three formless dimensions: the dimension of the infinitude of space, the infinitude of consciousness, and the dimension of nothingness. We are talking incredibly profound states of mental abstraction here. But Ananda's message remains, well, ruthlessly consistent. Even when you are perceiving infinite space or sheer nothingness, you can't afford to just get lost in the experience. You have to stop and discern. This attainment is fabricated and intended. It is inconstant and subject to cessation. By recognizing the constructed nature of even these ultimate formless states, the unreleased mind finally becomes released.
Finally, Part 6, 11 Doors to Treasure, Safety to the Deathless. So we've explored the four jhanas, the four awareness releases, and the three formless dimensions. And after hearing all of this, Dasama the householder is just absolutely thrilled. He responds to Ananda with this beautiful metaphor, essentially saying, I came looking for just one doorway to safety, a single opening onto treasure, and you've just handed me 11. Dasama realizes that true spiritual safety comes from having a multitude of tools at your disposal. The four jhanas, the four awareness releases, and the three formless dimensions make up these 11 distinct doorways. Any single one of them, when you combine it with that active observation of fabrication, leads directly to the ultimate treasure, the deathless.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Dasama practically demonstrates his immense gratitude. In the text, he doesn't just say thanks and leave. He actually feeds the entire community of monks from Vesali and Padliputta, presents them with robes, and specifically for Venerable Ananda, he has a dwelling built worth 500 kahapanas, the major currency of the time. This massive financial and logistical undertaking shows us exactly how valuable this knowledge was to him. He recognized that having this structured, reliable formula for observing his own mind was worth infinitely more than any commercial business deal he was working on.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer of the Atthakanagara Sutta. We've seen exactly how a single, powerful psychological formula, recognizing our deepest mental states as fabricated and subject to cessation, can be applied across 11 totally different meditative doorways. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to consider for your own life and mindfulness practice. Whether you naturally lean towards deep inward focus, expansive outward compassion, or abstract formlessness, which of the 11 doorways will you use to observe your own fabricated mind and uncover your own treasure?